Hello, everybody, and welcome to Between the Lines. I'm Sarah M. Eden here with Tracy Hunter Abramson, Esther Hatch, and Sean Ann Bessie. We're coming to you today with episode 88. It is the end of a third season of this podcast. We've been at this for 3 years, ladies. Can you believe that?
No.
Yeah.
I'm all yes. Everyone knows.
She's like, it feels like 7. And we're coming with both a special episode and kind of a little bit of a sad episode. All of us, as any of you know who follow us on social media or have listened to just about any episode of this podcast, know, incredibly busy. So many things on our plates. We write books and we have families and so many different things going on. After 3 seasons, we are having to make the difficult decision to step back, at least for a time, from the Between the Lines podcast. We're not calling it quits forever. I'm sure you'll see us again for the occasional reunion episode, or perhaps I'll wrangle these ladies into another game episode because everyone knows how much they love those, right?
Yes.
That's when we all run for cover.
Those of you joining us in podcast land, the expressions on their faces were not super reassuring. I think bonus game reunions might be a hard sell with these ladies. But we are ending this at season 3, 3 years of episodes, and it's been fantastic. We've been so excited to have all of you come along with us, to let you sit at the proverbial kitchen table with us and chat and learn and build these friendships. So we're going to do kind of a wrap-up episode today, and I have some fun questions for these ladies. We're going to reminisce a little. The first one I'm going to ask is, what is a favorite episode or topic that we've covered in the last 3 years? A favorite for you. I'm going to start with Tracy, since she's right next to me on screen. What's a favorite of yours?
Okay, this may surprise you, but I think probably the most fun we had was probably on the kissing episodes. Like, I thought they were so funny. Like, the poor Esther, 1 against 3, and she won every time. I mean, like... Everybody loves the kissing.
You win against kissing. We're
not against kissing. It's the kissing that is the problem.
Yes. Well, that's
I think that was probably among my favorite because it was just funny.
Oh, yeah. We got to know each other very well during that episode. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sean, what is a favorite of yours?
Oh, I agree. The kissing episodes, the romance ones were fun. I think one of the ones that we talked about that I feel like a lot of our listeners connected with was the imposter syndrome one.
Oh, yeah.
Because we all feel it as writers, but I think it goes a lot further. I think other people feel it in other aspects of their lives. And so just to discuss it and realize that we're all going through it at different levels, different phases, and that we're just kind of all in it together, you know?
Yeah, I love that. What about you, Esther? What's a fave of yours?
I was thinking over this today because with 3 years, it's been so amazing to learn with you guys and talk with you guys. I loved both of those. Those stand out as like stellar times and really resonating with people listening. But for me personally, I loved when we talked about writing and like not just the writing process, but also how to submit and how to make it in this industry. That's a very unique industry. And I think because I'm the youngest published here, I learned a lot from you guys. And I loved learning different aspects of point of view and how you looked at it and the different ways you were first published. And so I look back on those with like great fondness because I was able to learn a lot. And I just think it's a cool sneak peek into this world that a lot of people don't get to see. I think a little bit more we get to see it now with social media, but for the most part, authors are a little bit like, we're not quite out there as much as some other professions. So that's been fun.
Right. And those parts of the process aren't usually the parts you post about. Like, it's hard to make an engaging Instagram reel about juggling your editing schedule, or, submitted my book proposal today and people are like, so what? So yeah, it's kind of fun to be able to delve into that. I think among my favorites were the episodes where we kind of learned about each other. Like we had an episode where we talked about how we each met our husbands, or an embarrassing dating story, or stories from our childhoods. Because we're all friends. We all know each other outside of this podcast as well. But I felt like in those moments, we got to know each other even better. Things that didn't necessarily come up otherwise. And yeah, that was really fun for me. So not anyone else enjoyed it. I had fun.
Definitely.
Great. Yeah. Blackmail material down the road.
Notice that she didn't say her favorite was tormenting us on the game episodes. That was for sure what I thought she would say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love tormenting people, but I do it all the time. So
I was just run of the mill.
Exactly. Torture is so everyday for me. It doesn't even stand out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like Esther said, I think a thing that's been fun for all of us is we have learned things from this podcast, either from guests who've been on with us or topics we've discussed. Probably to listeners, it feels like we're just teaching people things or telling people about stuff, but we learned a ton in the making of this. Sometimes it was a topic that we knew about, but hearing each other's takes on it let you look at it a little bit differently and from a different angle. And I feel like as writers, you need to constantly be learning, and you need to constantly be adding to that toolbox that you have. And this podcast has really been that for me. I've learned so many things. I have not yet learned to love kissing scenes, but I've learned other things.
But we have learned that some people do like writing them, which is like a complete anomaly for most of us.
I still struggle to believe it, but it apparently does happen.
It does get a little harder, 12 and 13, 14 books down the road. so I kind of get it now too. We're all learning from each other. Yeah.
You have a tab open on your computer with just synonyms for lips.
There's not very many. There's one.
Yeah, exactly. My point exactly. So other than the lack of synonyms for lips, what is something that you guys learned or appreciated, discussing in the course of this podcast? I'm going to toss it to Sean. What's something you learned?
Something that I learned. Well, one of the guests that we had on, actually, it was one of our recent guests. I learned so much from Nancy, who is
audiobook narrator.
Audiobook narrator. That is, for those of us who write books, when you do it through a publisher, you send it to the publisher and they take care of doing the audiobook. So I had never had the opportunity to talk to a professional narrator, and to hear her pulling those accents just immediately on cue was so much fun. So I learned a lot from that episode.
That's awesome. What about you, Esther? I mean, you kind of gave us one already, but I'm going to put you on the spot and make you think of a second one.
No, that's fine. I actually have something that just stood out to me, and it's a silly little thing that I learned, and I'm horrified. Some people don't read epilogues, Sarah.
Or prologues.
But that really stood out to me.
But yeah, epilogues. I almost never read them.
Because I knew some people didn't read prologues, but I had no clue. There's this random group of people out there not reading epilogues, and I'm very disturbed by it. But it actually, it's a good thing to know still, because I felt like it shapes some things for me. And so just discovering little snippets like that. I don't know why. That was just I guess my most shocking thing I learned. So maybe not my favorite thing I learned, but I was like, I didn't know that was a thing.
What?
So, kind of random. Yeah.
Oh man. All right, Tracy, what's something on your list of things you've learned?
Okay, mine is very random, but I didn't realize how distinctive all of our voices are. Mm-hmm. Because Sean and I, very early in the podcast, I think maybe mid-season 1, because at that point it was all audio, and somebody stopped, I think it was Sean first, stopped her and it's like, "Are you Sean and Bessie in the bookstore?" And she's like, "Yes." And then she's like, "And you're Tracy Hunter Abrams." So I was like, "I am." And we're thinking that they've seen our photo somewhere, like back of book or something. They recognized our voice off the podcast. And so, and I actually just found out this past weekend, I was at a writers conference, and Sarah, you were there for this, when our pilot was somebody who was in my critique group, Jack Stewart. Right. And Jack admitted to, I thought he'd just seen me getting off the plane. He heard my voice, and that's how he knew it was me. And I was like, but I never thought about our voices being so distinctive that could imprint as much as a visual on people.
Interesting.
So that was very interesting.
And I would guess for the most part, authors' actual speaking voices aren't recognizable, because what we put out into the world very seldom involves our actual speaking voices. But after 3 years of this, people can recognize us. Interesting. Well, when we first got started 3 years ago, there was one among us who was particularly unsure of the idea of making a podcast, Miss Sean Bessie.
I was like,
we're all looking at her.
But Sean took a leap of faith, decided to give it a shot. And so now I'm super interested from all of us, after 3 years, looking back, what is something you have enjoyed about doing a podcast? Since Sean was pretty sure that it was the worst idea ever, and the rest of us were like, I don't know, I guess it'll be okay. What's something we actually enjoyed about it? I'm going to start with Esther on this one.
So in general, this is like for our podcast specifically, so I guess not in general, I have just loved spending time with you ladies. So, and I hope that our listeners feel the same way. Like, this has been a fun time to spend this time with us. As far as like podcasting in general, like, it's definitely given me a little street cred with my teenagers to be like, I have a podcast, and they're like,
so
very interested in that. And it does, like, they think it's cool. And so I will take any cool points from my children ever, because they're not that impressed with my books, I guess. But a podcast, now that was impressive.
That's something.
Yeah.
Good job, Mom.
Yep.
Man. All right, Tracy, what's something you have enjoyed?
I think I'm with Esther. I think it was mostly just being able to spend time with all of you. And also we got to meet a lot of really fun guests. Yes. I mean, one that stands out for that was when we had Ryan and Jake from Sarah's movie, Seeking Persephone. And so I'm going to put a plug in here, because Sarah probably won't do it for herself, that, this is a time, if you don't know, they're trying to get some more funding going. So it's a good time to share the word, spread the word on that one. But even just, seeing the different, how professional people could be. But it seems like as soon as they got in with us, it's like, okay, yeah, we're just us. Like, everyone would very quickly learn to relax, even if they weren't necessarily comfortable on camera. It didn't take long for them to fall into the rhythm of just, we're just friends and we enjoy each other's company.
I love that. What about you, Sean? Is there anything after 3 years that you can think of?
I'm going to miss it. And I would not have said that 3 years ago. I think one of the reasons, well, there are two reasons why I was probably more hesitant than the rest of you. One is I'm probably a little bit more introverted than the three of you. And so it took me a little bit out of my comfort zone. And the second was, I really wasn't sure if I had enough knowledge or whatever about the writing community to share with others. But what flipped it for me was when we first decided to do this, we decided that, and you mentioned this at the beginning of this episode, Sarah, we decided that we wanted to make it almost like we're sitting around a kitchen table and inviting our listeners to join us. And over the years, because I've been blessed with wonderful friendships with the three of you, I know that most of us have experienced this, but multiple times I have had people say, oh, I envy you the friendship that you have with Sarah and Tracy and Esther. And so this was a way of opening up that friendship circle to others. And I have loved when we've gone to book signings, I've loved it when people have come through and they've said, you don't know me, but I feel like I know you because I listen to your podcast and I feel like you're my friend. And that was for me when I thought we did it. And this was worth the time and effort and pulling me out of my comfort zone because that goal we had of increasing our friendship circle, I feel like we've done it. And I just want all of our listeners out there to know that that really is important to us, that they feel like we're friends, and we're grateful to them for being on this journey with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, it has. It's been neat to feel that sense of community growing and to interact with people. I think one of the things I really enjoyed was the game episodes, ladies. I'm not going to lie.
And Sarah, we laughed more on those than any of the others.
We did. We had a lot of fun. And I think a highlight for me was this past March, we all attended a big book event. What was it, like 15 to 20 authors, something like that, were all there. And as part of this hours-long event, we got to do a live game episode. And that was so fun because this community we had kind of imagined when we first started this podcast, this feeling of friends gathering together. It was like experiencing it in real life because there were hundreds of people there playing a game with us. And I loved that moment where, like Sean said, I felt like the thing we set out to do has happened. And that's an incredible thing because our friendship has grown over these last 3 years. It's this incredible connection to each other. So to feel that with others has been really, really fantastic. And I think it's why none of us is willing to say we're pulling the plug on this forever and ever and ever, right? Because of what's here. So we 100% hope that, be able to pop back in for the occasional reunion episode or to get back together for various things. But I also would love, as we kind of wrap this up, to know what you ladies are going to be working on moving forward. What's on the docket for you, even just in general? What's going to be filling up your time? We'll start with Tracy and just work our way around.
So I actually have my first hardback coming out. Hometown Vendetta will come out in October. So that'll be with Shadow Mountain. So I know this sounds really bad, and so please forgive me. I'm one of those insane people. I'm going to try to work my way down over the next few years to be only publishing 4 books a year, 2 with Shadow Mountain and 2 with Covenant is the current plan. So writing a lot and, just getting out signings and all the author stuff, and hopefully lots of retreats with the 4 of us.
Yes, absolutely.
I am also going to be writing, but not as much as Tracy.
All of our goals are not to write as much as Tracy.
Well, actually, I'm going to rephrase that. I might write as much as Tracy, but I won't produce as much as Tracy.
Got it.
But yes, just some more projects coming down the line, and then family time. We all have busy families and children and parents, and it's just a busy time for that, and I love it, and so I'm grateful that that's part of my busyness.
I love it.
So for me, I just had a book release, and if you've been following my career, it's been a little while, so at least from my publisher. So it's been about 3 years. So that was amazing to have like another book come out from my publisher. I have independent books that I publish myself that have been coming out a little bit more often than that. So it's not been quite that long in reality, but so I've got that happening now, and that's been fun. And then I'm working on that's kind of like the end of a series that has been awesome for me. It's other than one other book that I wrote, it was kind of the book series that I started my career on. And I feel like I've connected with a lot of readers. So that's been amazing. And that's kind of coming to a close. So I'm working on something that's brand new, and I'm actually really, really excited about it. So I don't really have much to share about it yet, but it's going to be good. So yeah.
Just knowing you're excited gets us excited. I think you can sense that in authors' books when they're excited about what they're doing.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm excited.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm planning to keep writing books. I've just this calendar year have completed 3 different screenplays that are in various stages of production. I'd love to spend some time doing that as well. And I'm hoping to find some time to do some travel. I love traveling. And hint, hint, wink, wink, ladies. I especially like traveling with fellow writers. So I think we all need to pencil that in.
Yes.
We'll pull Tracy away from all of our books.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
right.
my laptop goes on the
see the
plane. I'm
world.
staying.
She writes while she's walking. Like she can do anything.
We got this. Oh, that's on my list, just so you know, all y'all ladies.
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
On that.
We're in.
Awesome. Well, dear listeners, it's been an incredible 3 years. We've so enjoyed having you here at our kitchen table with us, laughing and learning and building these friendships. We won't disappear forever. We'll still be around. This podcast episodes will remain up where you can listen to them again and again, and we'll pop back in now and then, check in, maybe play a game, let you know what we're up to. Thank you so much for joining us, not just today, but the last 3 years here on Between the Lines. It's been fantastic.